Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are in the Updates 1.77 dev server the second, and we are looking at the Re.2000 serie 1. This is the first RE that we actually have in game, and that means it gets its own little bit in the tree, hoping that we get other Reggianis. I am very much looking forward to them, but you got to start somewhere, and this is where we have started. The 2000 has no armor on it, since it's a little chub plane, and the X-ray shows that we have two britishcanadianman 12.7mm machine guns. At the same time, we have the Piaggio PXI, or P11 I should say, RC40 14-cylinder radial. It has just below 1,000 horsepower on it, and at the same time all the fuel tanks are located below the pilot and they are both self-sealing, which is nice. And so because the guns are centrally mounted, that means that convergence isn't as much of an issue compared to other machines, and it's a battle rating of 2.0. It's great to not worry about that stuff and just be able to fire the guns and have them do something. 600 rounds of ammunition is not the best, especially when we talk about a lower tier vehicle, because generally more inexperienced players are going to play it, so it would be nice if we had a little bit more ammunition, but it's definitely enough to take out one or two planes. If we talk about the modifications that are available on this vehicle, the first that you should definitely go for is the offensive 12mm, just like you should with anything which is using the britishcanadianman machine guns. The reason for this is because the default belt is absolutely dire on these machines. The T-ball-I AP rounds are not good, especially when you compare them to the other options you have. Universal, full of AP and API. Air targets, full of API-T, API-IAI, all wonderful. Tracers, full API-T. Ooh, it's feeling good. And then stealth, API, API, IAI, IAI. You can see the difference here. The default belt is the only one which is absolutely shocking. Now, I personally like tracers with the API-T. You get a mix of basically everything in it, but I would say taking air targets, tracers, or stealth are all great options in this. And then working on... Ooh, let's just get this last thing. And then working on flight performance is definitely something you should also do. Just because the flight performance of an aircraft like this at such a low BR, you have to be the one in control of situations. You have to be much more aggressive at lower tiers and higher tiers, because it's much more of a bee's nest or a hornet's nest than it is at higher tiers. So you can't just pick and choose your target. Sometimes you've got to go in hard, and nail 3 people and hope for the best. But yeah, overall it is really nice to see this vehicle in game. Is it the Reggiani I personally want? No, I would personally want the 2005, but hopefully one day we will see it, and this is the first step in the direction of the Reggiani 2005 and also the other ones which we see about the place. It is nice that we get a new vehicle for Italy. It has been a while. The last ones we got were the Leoncello and the Ariete. Now, the Ariete being a copy of the M26, I don't see that as a direct Italian vehicle, but I definitely see the Leoncello as an Italian vehicle. So, since then, we haven't really got anything for the Italians. So having a new fighter, even though it probably isn't going to be the best and it's going to be very average at 2.0, it's still nice to see, because it means it's a sign of things to come. It means it's a sign for the Reggiani line to be here, which I am all down with. And also at the same time, you can see a little plaque on the left side near the cockpit. It seems like a lot, or most of the Italian planes actually have their names on the side of the fuselage. And it's nice to see this aircraft keeps up the tradition. But yeah, 12.7mm britishcanadians were reworked just before the Italian tech tree got released. Before that, we only had them in the German tree, and if you were new to the game, then you won't have access to them because you weren't able to research them. Well, you can still use them in the Italian tree, and what you may find is they do quite a lot of damage, especially at these lower tiers, which is lovely. The MC-2024 Gori, a plane which I regard as one of the ones where you should learn how to energy fight with, is absolutely stacked pack full of 12.7s and also 7.7s. Let's just shoot this guy and rip off a wing. I believe we have a guy behind us. But what I see from this plane is the fact it doesn't have WEP is a bit of an issue. War emergency power, giving it that extra little boost that it may need. But what it feels like to me is the MC200s or the P-36s. It doesn't feel like a plane that I can use to take over a battlefield. It feels like one of those meandering fighters which will be able to get a decent amount of kills on it, but isn't one which I will be able to carry a game with. Now, there is definitely ways of being able to carry games in this. 600 rounds is definitely enough for about 3 kills, or even 4 kills, depending on how accurate you are. As long as you stay near or behind the enemy, then taking them out should be quite easy to do. Like if we get close to this guy, the good old MS-406. If you get matched up against France, by the way, you'll just absolutely annihilate them. But what you get is a nice mix here of turn fighting and a little bit of speed. There are definitely planes out there that you will want to watch out for. The HE... Ooh, which is it now? I can't remember. Basically, the one rank 1 fighter that everybody really likes, the D1, the HE100, there we go. The HE100 D1 is still going to be a plane that's going to haunt your dreams, especially when we talk about these Italian aircraft. Something when I was grinding through the French, that was definitely an issue I had. The HE100 players who were just smashing face. And this aircraft is not going to combat the HE100. What it's going to do is it's going to be cannon fodder for us, just like everything else. But that's completely fine, because against everything else, you'll have a little bit of fun in it, and yeah, it'll be grand. I still feel like right now in the Italian tree, it's better to go down the other lines of fighters, just because you want that bonus from using the plane before it to research the next one. So, since the Re.2000 does not have an aircraft after it, it may be worth just waiting a little bit for it to get that aircraft. So what you can do is you can research the next aircraft at a better rate. I think that might be the way to go for it. Maybe not top priority. I would say top priority in aircraft right now is probably the HE-177 for me personally, and also the Spitfires. Now, if you are Italian, or if you really like the Italian tech tree, then obviously you grind something like this. It is only 5,900 research, so it won't take you that long to do it, which is obviously very nice. But generally, if we just shoot this guy, beautiful. Generally, with that said, there isn't really a reason to grind this unless you just want a full Italian tree. Once they start adding more of the REs though, I definitely think this one will be one to play, just because it's easy to play. Like, it's simple. The MC200s are incredibly simple planes to play, and so is the Re.2000 in that regard, if not slightly better than those MC200s, who definitely struggle with ammunition, and also not a very powerful engine. With this, the engine seems to be doing a hell of a lot better. If we look at the cockpit itself, it is really nicely modeled, and it does have an opening cockpit as well, which is just a nice little addition to the whole thing. We can obviously pull quite hard. Right now, the... oh no, it does go down. Kind of. The hand just goes through more of the stick, and that basically means that it works out. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, you've got the landing gear, which seemed to work well. Of course, it overheats like every other Italian fighter. Just by staying alive, but that will be something you learn to manage as you go along. I think this will be fun. Like, it's a nice little 2.0 aircraft. Are there things better than it? Definitely, in the form of the HE-100 and the MC202 Fulguri, which is very, very similar BR to this. But overall, it's still going to be fun to fly. It's definitely more on the turn fighting side of things than energy fighting, so therefore it will lose out straight to energy fighters if you go up against experienced people. But at these lower tiers, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you come up against people who don't know how to play the game properly, and therefore you can have a really fun fight in a turn fighting scenario. So hopefully you run into a bunch of them, just like I hope to, and enjoy this vehicle. I'll see you next time.